Welcome to SVL Free News and Views. It's Brian About Town, your host for Monday, July 16th. Mike Fuhrman, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be out here at Martin Luther King Jr. Park with you today.
Yeah, it's a little hot out here, but we had a great weekend. And talk about a couple things you attended.
We covered a couple events. The Comic-Con on Saturday, several hundred people from sci-fi, dressed in sci-fi gear, to fantasy, superheroes, all kind of things in the Civic Center. So I think they had 500-600 people out there. Good event. And then the Civic Center also Sunday was the host for Fifth Street Ministries annual Christmas in July celebration, and that seems like that was one of the best turnouts ever. So I hope they raised a lot of money because they do incredible work there.
I saw they had some leftovers from the Comic-Con. I think Batman was there.
Well, I think that was their theme, was be a superhero for Fifth Street.
Yeah.
And that's what the people who support them with their time and money are.
They are, because I went out and interviewed Will Long at the splash pad before the event, and he was optimistic this would be one of their biggest ever. So congratulations. Mike, I want to talk about something that you and I have been covering for some time. Brad Borders with Purple Heart Homes. They do great work over there for veterans, but he also has a organization he works up with, he partners with, called Reboot Combat Recovery, for veterans coming back from traumatic situations in war and in serving in the military. Now they've added first line recovery for those first responders.
Right.
So we're going to talk about, let's hear from Brad. He's talking about two new opportunities if you're a first responder and you would like to get help in this area, or you're a returning veteran. Listen to what Brad has to say about this. Hey everybody, I'm here at Purple Heart Homes with none other than Brad Borders. Brad, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Brian.
And he asked me to come over because he's got a big announcement. We're in our, some time ago you had the first edition of Reboot Combat Recovery.
That's correct.
And you were the teacher, instructor.
Well, one of them.
One of them.
Right.
And you just had graduation on the second round of that.
We did.
And I was over there to cover that. But tell everybody, what is Reboot Combat Recovery?
So Reboot is a faith-based trauma recovery course for combat veterans that lasts 12 weeks. It's not a support group. It's actually a course where they come and learn skills.
Hands-on.
And it's hands-on. And the idea is to focus combat veterans on their faith and back to their family and back into their community, and ultimately for service coming out of the course.
Good, because for so many folks that have served in combat, it's difficult to re-engage in the community. There's a lot of trauma there.
Well, and isolation is the biggest enemy. A lot of combat veterans don't know what to do when they get out, and sometimes they make their home kind of a fortress of solitude and don't re-engage with their community. And what Reboot does is gives them a new community to be involved in, and sometimes they recognize that they're not the only ones.
Right. And another opportunity, as you see, is certain here, first line. First responders go through a lot of trauma also. They deal with a lot of hurt and people in very desperate situations, and they keep things inside too. So you have a second course just for first responders.
That's correct. We have a course called First Line. It was developed by the folks that developed the Reboot course. First Line just got its start this year. We ran the first course over in Rowan County back in the spring, and we graduated 25 folks. Most of them were volunteer firefighters and EMTs.
Right.
And so we're going to start another course here in the fall in August at Western Avenue Baptist Church here in Statesville, so that we can meet the needs of our first responders here in town.
So it also includes sheriff deputies, troopers, whoever could be a first responder.
Firefighters,
policemen,
law enforcement, EMS, rescue squad, whoever.
Okay, so let's go back over the eligibility. The eligibility for combat reboot recovery.
Right, it's veterans that have experienced trauma in combat, and that doesn't matter whether it's Iraq, Afghanistan, or Vietnam, or Korea. It doesn't matter. Anybody is eligible to come to that course.
Okay, and First Line is also the professional first responders, and I would assume also the volunteer first responders.
Absolutely, yeah, volunteer, and the course is Reboot's open to veterans and their spouses. And First Line is open to first responders and their spouses.
Okay,
it's designed for families.
So how do you sign up?
We have a website. Go to
right here,
rebootrecovery.com, and you select in the drop-down menu Statesville, the Statesville, North Carolina course, and then firstlineresponders.com. Again, select the Statesville course.
Okay, that's simple enough. Any cost?
Zero cost.
Zero cost.
Food is provided, and so is childcare.
Can't beat it. So all you first responders out there and combat veterans, take advantage of this program, because I know I've talked to people who have been through it, and it's changed lives.
It really has.
And Brad, we thank you for changing lives here at Purple Heart Homes.
It's my pleasure.
And you went through your own trauma with Presley Maddox on that bike ride. I hope you've recovered since then.
My GQ modeling career is over because I had some facial injuries, but my wife still loves me.
That's right. Okay, so thank you, Brad, for all you do. Okay. So thank you, Brad Boris, for all you do at Purple Heart Homes. And John Galena, John is carrying on the work he started with Dale Beatty out there, and we wish him the best.
Right. I think that the people who are devoting their time and effort and energy to helping first responders and to helping combat veterans, they're doing great work, and we're so lucky to have Purple Heart Homes in this community, and the work that Brad's doing there through this new initiative, I think, is going to really hit close to home for a lot of people in our community as well.
Okay, so coming up next, this is your interview you did with Superintendent Brady Johnson of Iredell Statesville Schools. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had a good wide-ranging conversation talking about everything from open positions that they still have to fill for the coming school year to, funding challenges that they have, their relationship with county commissioners. Just touched on a lot of different things that I think a lot of people will find interesting.
So let's take a listen.
All right, thanks, Brian. I'm here this afternoon at the Iredell Statesville Schools Administrative Offices on Race Street, and I'm joined by Superintendent Brady Johnson. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Glad to be here, Mike.
Really appreciate it. I think a lot of people probably think the summer's downtime for the school system, but we realize there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Maybe we could just start today by talking a little bit about the personnel decisions you make during the summer. I know you've had some principals transferring. Just had a principal leave this week.
Absolutely. I was at lunch today, and someone asked me, said, "Are you busy in the summertime?" And a lot of folks don't realize summer is some of our busiest time. We will generally, in an average summer, hire over 100 employees. Most of those will be teachers. We'll also do quite a few transfers. That includes teachers and administrators and just a myriad of employees. This summer we have hired quite a few teachers. Math and science teachers are hard to come by. Those are our real challenges. They're just not graduating enough math and science teachers in North Carolina right now. But as of just a few minutes ago, we currently still have 4 teacher vacancies at our middle school, 9 at the high school level, and 2 at our elementary level. And about 6 out of that total is math and science teachers.
Okay.
We are very fortunate to have a strong cadre of administrators, but we have lost 2 of our very distinguished principals this summer to a neighboring school system. West Iredell High School and Cloverleaf Elementary School. So we have filled the vacancy at West Iredell High School. Mrs. Ellen Gaither, a longtime assistant principal, has taken that position. And I just communicated with the parents yesterday about the Cloverleaf vacancy. We're soliciting some feedback from our parents and our community members about filling that vacancy. And we are very fortunate in our school system that when we do have administrative vacancies, we generally have a lot of applicants apply for those.
A lot of internal applicants?
Internal and external. And so while we hate to see good, talented leadership leave our school system, we feel very confident that we'll have a good pool of folks apply for those.
Okay. What are the challenges to recruiting and retaining high quality people?
Yeah. Well, a lot of folks don't know this, but we neighbor 9 counties, okay? And that means that you're within driving distance of quite a few other school systems. So there is a lot of competition for talent. And on the southern end of our county, when we border CMS and Cabarrus County, some of those counties pay much better than we do.
Right.
And so you can significantly increase your income by just driving a few miles down the road.
So you wouldn't even have to move?
That's right. Absolutely. Right. You can continue to live here, your children go to school here, and you work in a neighboring school system. So it is a very, very competitive market, and we have to do 2 things there. Number one, we have to make sure that we're trying to be as competitive as we can with salaries, but we also have to try to create an environment here where people want to work in an innovative environment where they have lots of support. And a lot of folks don't realize that we have supplied a lot of leadership talent to neighboring school systems. The exit with Alexander County is just a small example of that. But I would say right now, I can think of 5 or 6 superintendents in North Carolina that were administrators here in ISS. And so we do furnish a lot of leadership throughout the state.
Well, I think a lot of people aren't surprised when you lose the top talent, but I think they are surprised maybe when you would lose top talent to, a smaller county like Alexander County. They're offering higher pay and better benefits at this time than Iredell is?
One of our folks that left us was for higher pay. The other was a lateral move with pay, but a different assignment at their central office. So I would consider both to be promotions. Yeah.
Next question. I know the county has kind of restarted the facilities task force. I think that's probably in the last year or so. Talk for a minute about the major projects you see on the horizon for the county and maybe prioritize a few of those.
Yeah, so Mike, back in 2014 we had the successful bond referendum, and we had 5 projects that were funded through that bond referendum. Cool Spring was our first project. I hope folks have had an opportunity to visit Cool Spring. It's a beautiful facility now. We was able to purchase some additional land, make some new playground space. So that was our first project. Turned out to be very successful. This past spring, we finished projects 2 and 3, and they included the Performing Arts Center up at North Iredell High School and South Iredell. And both those projects were very successful. I think both communities are very happy with their new facilities.
Definitely.
They're getting tons of use now, not only from the school system, but from the community. And that's what we had hoped would happen. We'll be rolling out projects 4 and 5 this fall. Those projects include the new middle school that's going to be constructed on the campus of Third Creek.
Okay.
And that's where we're moving Statesville Middle to the Third Creek campus. The other project is down in Mooresville on the campus of Woodland Heights Elementary School. We'll be moving Brawley Middle School to the Woodland Heights campus. So that will be 2 brand new middle schools for us. Those are going to be fairly large schools, 800 student capacity. August the 23rd, we will have bid opening on those projects. So that's something that's just right around the corner. We'll be taking those bids to the Board of Education in September to see what contractor is awarded that project. The bonds will actually go on sale sometime in mid to late September, and so we will be able to start construction on those projects probably in late October, maybe a few weeks earlier than that.
And are those both 1 year or 15-month projects?
Yeah, they're about 18-month projects, and so by the spring of 2020, we hope to have those buildings completed. And that's going to be a huge shot in the arm for both those schools. It's also going to allow us to move the campuses of where our 2 middle year programs are now. As you know, Northview, located over near the Highway Patrol Station, we are out of capacity at that school. Northview is ranked number 8 in North Carolina academically. We have a waiting list of kids trying to get into that school, and we can't take them because we don't have space.
Right.
So when we build the new Third Creek Middle School, we will also renovate the existing Statesville Middle School and move Northview into that building.
And you can do that with existing funds?
Yes.
Okay.
The other project down in Mooresville, similar situation, Mount Morn IB is an old elementary school. It's at full capacity, don't have space to accept new kids. So when we move Brawley to Woodland Heights, we will renovate, freshen up Brawley Middle School a little bit, and that's where we will move Mount Morn IB to. And so we expect our IB population to jump again after we get more space for those kids.
And that has the effect also of reducing overcrowding maybe in some other schools.
Absolutely, it sure does.
And so if we can look beyond those few projects, Is the facilities task force already identifying, what the needs are 4 to 5 years from now?
Yes, the facilities task force did finish up several months ago, and they have a report that they'll be sharing with the community and county commissioners and school boards pretty soon. One of our big needs is a new high school on the southern end of the county. As you know, Lake Norman High School and South Iredell High School are at full capacity, and there is tremendous growth, Troutman South. So we feel like in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we're going to need a new high school on the southern end of the county. We've acquired some land down there already, and so that is an idea, a concept that we'll be sharing with the county commissioners and the community. And again, it's a long-term plan. So hopefully, within the next 10 years, you'll see a new high school in the southern part of the county.
Okay. Well, not to end on a downer,
Yeah.
but just coming off the discussions with the quarter-cent sales tax increase proposal, it seemed to a lot of observers, myself included, that the school board and the county commissioners just are not on the same page in some areas as it pertains to school funding in particular.
Right.
And I think we went through this around the time you became superintendent before, maybe a little bit before with the last superintendent.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people on both sides have made great strides to improve that relationship over the years.
Yes.
But it seemed there was definitely some distrust on the county commission side as far as how much money the schools should get over for school security or other things, and who should control when it's spent and how it's spent.
Right.
What's your assessment kind of that relationship, and what really needs to be done in the coming months and year to ensure that the needs of the students are the primary needs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're very accurate. I would say this past spring, when the conversation finally came to the table and both sides started talking about the possibility of putting this on a ballot, the temperature rose a little bit, passion came out, and there was some pretty tough talk on both sides. Thankfully, I think folks have been able to come to terms now and work out their differences and get some things off their chest and whatnot. We do have a resolution from the Iredell Statesville Schools, one from Mooresville and from Mitchell Community College. The proposal that the county presented on splitting the possibility of the quarter cent has been received now by all 3 school systems. And I think Gene Haupt said it best during the debate, that the essence of politics is compromise. And rarely do you get everything that you want. But if everybody will take a step to the center and say, what's our common goal here? And so I feel good now about this. I feel like that it's a good common sense approach to not only providing more funding for the schools, but new revenue for the county as well. And it's also a funding stream that does not put all of the burden on property owners. It spreads it across all groups of people, even the folks that are driving through your county on a daily basis.
Correct.
So we're looking forward to a campaign between now and November and spending some time on educating people and helping them understand this. I am extremely thankful for the 5 commissioners that we do have, because I think that every one of them during the debate over the last 6 to 8 weeks has come and sat down with me and talked about this and been open-minded. And a lot of times when we disagree with folks, we've got our idea and our concept, and we understand something, and you got your ideas and concepts and whatnot. Until we can sit down and share and talk and question each other, that's when understanding comes. Some of our schools, we teach Covey's 7 habits, and the first habit is seek first to understand and then be understood. Once we was able to have those conversations in depth with commissioners and school board members, that's when the compromise finally came about. So it was all about communication. And I'm very proud of our school board. I'm very proud of our commissioners. I think that all of those folks genuinely do care about kids. At the end of the day, it is about students. Sometimes in the abrasiveness of the political world, sparks do fly. But at the end of the day, they came together, they compromised, and I think they've got a good common sense approach now to take to the community and let the voters make this decision.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to meet with us today, and a lot of good information, and good luck filling the rest of your positions this summer and for the coming school year.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for that interview. You know, Brady covers a lot of ground in that interview. You know, he's working with, he's 114th in the state, is that right?
In funding, right.
And he's still turning out a lot of good programs out there. So Brady's very caring about what he wants to serve each and every kid.
Right. I think we have a really great school district, and I think what's frustrating for a lot of people is when you look at the funding that they get from the county, just realize that maybe our schools aren't really reaching their maximum potential.
Right. So thank you for the interview. Okay, so that wraps it up for Monday, July 16th. We'll see you again on Wednesday. And also remember to sign up on SVLfreenews.com to get your email edition every morning at 5 a.m.
Right, and I would also add that we've updated our app for the iPhone. That's a free app. It's easy to access all of our content that way as well.
Okay, so we'll see you on Wednesday.